that right there. Perfect.
Hey, Coach. Jake Hildebrand has been really a big recruiter for you guys since you signed him. How big is it to have someone like that, doing in-state recruiting for you guys?
I can't comment on recruiting or kids that are committed to the program or anything along that side perspective, but it's really cool to see. We had an initiative to do a golden ticket campaign and something to completely change the dynamic of in-state recruiting. We came in and did the same thing that honestly every staff had done here since I could remember. And it didn't work for the first few years, and we made a drastic change. Some like it, some don't, but it was drastic, and I think we're reaping those benefits. And that starts with the relationships that we're building and trying to build with in-state kids and doing it in a different way. So I think the Golden Ticket campaign is starting to work, and there'll be more to come in regards to that.
Might be a stretch to say that this event helps with in-state recruiting, but how does something like this help you connect with the kids of this state?
Yeah, I'm not really worried about recruiting when it comes to this. I'm worried about giving back to the community and stuff like that, and having these kids have a good time out here, and good for our players to come out here and engage with kids. That's what sports about. It's about connection.
With the Golden Ticket,
Details of what goes into the Golden Ticket and how those recruits are treated differently.
I think one, it's a way that we get to brand who we believe are some of the best players in the state. Every coach in America goes and tells everybody one-on-one, you're at the top of our board. That's every recruiting pitch. Well, in our own state, we want to make sure those top kids, we can't just tell you it behind closed doors, right? There is an actionable item that we're doing because we can't say it publicly who our top guys are. That's a violation. So the only way we're trying to, create a brand of a unique level player that we deem as a unique level player by giving them that golden ticket. And I know it's a little bit corny. I get all that crap. I understand. I'm not that naive, right, to understand the negatives of it. But from the side point of it does create conversation about in-state kids. It does create who's going to get it, who is not, the why. It creates questions. And anytime you're being talked about in those lights, it's a positive when it's in-state recruiting. And I think we've already reaped the benefits of that process, and I think it's only going to continue as hopefully more golden ticket type kids choose to come to Arizona State.
how do you see that approach evolving in this class, next class, and how you do that?
Yeah, I think it's similar. I think we just got to continue to educate guys. We're in an era where if you don't get an early offer, it means the school doesn't like you. Well, the reality is an offer isn't what an offer was 10 years ago. An offer 10, or maybe 15 now, right? 15 years ago, 12, 15 years ago, an offer meant you could commit. Now an offer means, hey, come out to camp. We may like you in a few years. We may take you. So what I just did was I didn't want to play in the dirty water in our own state. Instead of saying, oh, we're going to offer 19, 20 freshmen, sophomores and say we were your first, we're saying no. Here are the select few that we know could commit to Arizona State, right? A real offer, like an offer that what it's meant to be, right? And make it unique. And so it is different, but I think in the end it's going to be right. And we have to educate the people on why we do it that way, educate the state, because there's also going to be a lot of people who are like, man, Arizona State's behind. Why don't they recruit the state? It doesn't matter if we sign 97 kids, there'll always be people who don't like how we recruit the state. There is no solution to the problem when you're living in it. It's the old saying, the bathroom's always going to stink, right? Because you live there. If you're always in the bathroom, it's going to stink. It doesn't matter how much you clean it, right? It's always going to be muddier in the state that you live in the recruiting. So you can't shy away from that. You got to find solutions to get what you want out of it, and that's signing the best players. I think the steps that we're taking, right, is working.
Kenny, what's your sense at this point about the economics of the 2026 roster in the Big 12 and also the legislation that's proposed to try to figure this thing out?
Yeah, there's $40 million rosters out there, which is awesome for the guys. I'm all for players. I'm all for this process. At the end of the day, coaches make a lot of money doing this thing. There's a lot of layers to college football that need to be unwinded here. I'm not smart enough to figure it all out. I've looked at the bill, and there's some good things in it. There's some bad things in it. I love the fact coaches got to stay. I think that's an awesome thing for players. I'm really for anything that is driven for players and athletes. And when I say that, I mean all players and athletes. So that's the tricky part. Is players and athletes finances, players and athletes Olympic sports, all players and athletes. And sometimes those go versus each other. And that's where this whole challenge and this math equation is difficult, is because you can be for players and athletes but against the pocket of players and athletes with one stance and for another pocket of players and athletes with another stance. That's what makes it difficult. That's why for us, we just try to be good people, make good decisions, and have more fun working harder than anybody in the country. No. I mean, if the bill passes, yes. But if not, no. I think right now we're just in this, this middle ground phase of, what rules, can they enforce? What rules should they enforce, right? And they're constantly changing the rules right now to try to make it better, to try to make it enforceable, and to try to make it fair as much as you can. But the space we're in is just very challenging to do that.
Circling back.
We're here to talk about youth camp, baby. I mean, man.
I guess on that note, how exciting is a day like today?
It's great. Like I said, we get to be out here with all the kids. They get to have fun, fly around in here, and we get our guys to get around it. And that's the fun part, is getting back to the community. At the end of the day, we're a state institution, right? Arizona State University, which means, right, our job is to serve the community that we're in. It's also the president's mission, right, is to serve the community we're in. I think events like that does that thing.
Is your son excited?
I think so. Are you excited? I don't know.
Any word on Kamari Anderson, what his injury was and how long he might be out?
Yeah, he'll be back for the middle of he'll be back for the beginning of the season. Hopefully, is the plan. That's the trademark. So, Kamari's a great kid. He was voted on our leadership council. So, unfortunate the way he got hurt, but he'll be back for the season and he'll be in great shape.
Where do you feel like you're at mentally at this point in the summer? Are you enjoying the more relaxing time of year, or are you just itching to get back to football?
Yeah, I like how you phrase that. The more relaxing time of year. The more relaxing time of year is in about 3 weeks. In about 3 weeks, I tell our guys, if I have to take a phone call, right, because one of you guys did something stupid, I'm going to be madder than I normally am on a Wednesday, right? But no, I mean, the best part about football and coaching football is you have 7 different jobs, it feels like. You go from football coach to mentor to managing finances to general manager to off-season booster relationships to community involvement to managing a budget. So it's really hard to get bored because you're constantly doing something else. It's not like you wake up every day and do the same thing over and over again. It's like different cycles of the season is a whole different job, and all of those cycles together are what make programs good. So if you're not good at one of these cycles, you got to find somebody in the organization who can teach you how to be good and help you in those categories. So I wouldn't say I've been bored. My favorite time of the year is football, though. So I am excited to get back to the football piece because that's why I got into this thing, was to coach football. So I am excited to get back to football. I like our football team. I like our demeanor. I'm excited to see these guys compete.
Is there an update on the indoor facility?
Just that it's trending in a good direction. Like, we're trending. I think there should be updates here in the next 2 weeks to a month. Don't quote me on that. But I think we'll have more updates here in the next couple weeks to a month. But the university's been great. The president's been great. Jim Runn's been great. Graham Machine's been great in terms of trending this thing in the right direction. My goal is to not just put up an indoor facility, but to put up an indoor facility that's the best, if not one of the best facilities in the country. We're in Phoenix, Arizona. Right? It's hot, and it's one of the largest cities. Why this facility can't be an unbelievable multi-use purpose, not just for Arizona State football, but for Pop Warner games. For, I don't know, if they put volleyball courts down on it, but they put pickleball courts down on it in times of the year. Like, this could be an event space. There's more to it than just building us an indoor. This is actually a community asset if we do it right, if we do it to a high enough level.
Coach, you talk about this camp, and obviously kids having more fun. But when you look at, I know it would take a while to see the stories, like maybe not just encouraging them to be football players, but get into coaching and stuff like that. How just fun of that aspect, or your thought of putting these camps on, is for you guys?
Yeah, I think, like I said, anytime life's about people and understanding people, relating to people, being good to people. So I think anytime our players get around kids, different ages, right, they get to kind of, they understand like patience, okay? So they understand like, yeah, he didn't listen, did he? You must have explained it poorly, like explain it again. I know it sounds small, but like sometimes even those tiny moments of where they have to explain the most fundamental thing differently helps them be like, oh, right? Helps them process. So at the end of the day, it's about people, and you get around people. You gonna follow up?
Yeah, there's a big money donation that's going for the indoor, and also Brian Sweetie stepped up with the $10 million. What do those things do, and is that contributing to momentum that you hope for?
100%. I mean, I stood on the pedestal and said crazy things, and people liked it, people not. Well, we found that amount of money that I asked for through 2 different people in the next 3 months. So, you know, if you're not willing to go out and say what you need, right, same thing I tell our staff and our players, like the only way to get better is for people to know, like, what I got to get better at. If I just stayed quiet and said everything is roses and candy canes all the time, there's no such thing as roses and candy canes in college football. It's an arms race to continue to compete and get better. So if we ever say we've made it, we're there, we've got every support we need, I'm actually hurting our football program. I'm always going to be constantly pushing to get better and better and better. And I think anybody who doesn't want me to push to be better and better and better doesn't want to try to compete at the highest level, because that's what it takes. It takes constant improvement. So the fact that we challenged people, guys like Brian stepped up, another organization stepped up, which we'll get to there later when the university deems it, and they stepped up in a big way, but we're still not even close to where we need to do. We're just taking the right steps. You know, I like to say when I got here, we were in a marathon, but it was like we started 4 years after everybody else, or 4 hours after everybody else started this marathon. So even though we're catching up and we're getting better and we're improving in a lot of areas, right? We're so far behind and they're still running. They just didn't stop and say, let Arizona State catch up. They're still trying to win the race. So we're trying to catch up and win the race at the same time. So we're catching up, but we're not even in the same ballpark of winning this race right now. And that's why we got to continue to push and continue to get the Phoenix area involved through the collective, through the university, in any way, shape, or they can to help us compete. I mean, that's what's needed to happen if we want to compete at the highest level.
OTAs are starting around the NFL. What's it like to see some of the guys from last year getting their opportunities on rosters, and how can guys like Max and JT specifically, serve as an example to recruits of what players can achieve at ASU?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, to watch our players that came here, and most of those guys came here when we had 3 wins. Actually, all of them did. And we had 3 wins, and we're a dying/dead organization. And for them to all come here, not many people wanted them, dying, 3 wins, dead organization, flip the program, now get to see them live out their dream. It's great. It's really fun for me. I wish it was more of our guys, but it's hard to play on Sundays. That's a tough challenge. And for those guys, it's really awesome to watch.
Kenny, speaking of last year, you had a lot of returning players. This year, there's a big change when it comes to quarterback, wide receiver, running backs, everything. What are the fun challenges of an offseason with a lot of new personnel to work in?
Yeah, I mean, you got to take spring ball, and then you got to say, okay, what do we learn from spring ball, and then develop a plan for how we're going to install in summer. So being able to watch spring ball and say, okay, we like this player, this player, this player. These are their skill sets. I know this is how we installed in spring or how we did blank in spring, but we need to change that because this dude needs to get the ball, and we need this dude to be able to be here, here, and here. So now the install order is completely backwards of maybe what we've done the 3 years. We're studying teams and what they've done with players with similar skill sets to what we have now, what we learned on offense and defense. So, we're really long in the defensive backfield. So what do longer teams do? Maybe they play more zone. Well, we're already a zone team. We already play a lot. Do we play more, right? Or do we just play the same amount? Well, let's study that. Let's see what these longer teams do. On offense, okay, we've got some pretty good weapons on the perimeter, right? Who are the teams that have played in O personnel? 5 wideouts. Who are the teams that have played in 10? And how did they manage that? Did they get matched in dime? Did they get matched in nickel still? So I think we're studying us and our personnel, what we should use, and we're studying what teams did to teams that last year that we think we can look like. So long answer to the question.
Any similar prep to 2024? There's a lot of new faces.
A little bit from that perspective. I would say a little bit. But we didn't know who the guys were going to be. I think for a lot of the positions, I think guys stepped up and kind of declared themselves as guys. I think in 24, after spring ball, it was still like, holy cow, like, who's winning these jobs? I think now we have that big group of who's winning these jobs, but we also have a big group of guys who establish themselves as, okay, this guy's going to play for us. So it does give us a little bit more of a plan to create systems around those guys.
Do you think this is another one of those years you guys can maybe be under the radar? You guys have a lot of new people. People don't know what to expect.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're projected to win 6 wins, so we are under the radar. But like I tell our guys, it's never about expectations. It's not about external expectations. It doesn't matter if you're supposed to win 10. It doesn't matter if you're supposed to win 2. The challenge is, can you fall in love with the most boring sentence, the process of growth? Can you win the day? Every program talks about it. Few execute. Every program, every organization talks about be the best at what you're doing right now. Like, it's the goal of everybody, right? Be the very best at what you're doing. Very few can actually wake up and say, how am I the very best? Am I going to research the very best question to ask Kenny today, or am I going to think of it on the spot? It's really the difference. Some people have been like, the next time I talk to him, I've been putting it in my notebook, this is the question I'm going to ask. It's been a month since he's had availability, and I've been waiting on this question. Other people show up and they just ask a random question, okay? Same thing in football, same thing in everything. Are you obsessed with what you do to a point that separates you? Like yesterday, I had our team stand up and say, who do you think is average? Raise your hand if you think you're average in this room. Nobody raises their hand. Raise your hand if you're above average. Everybody. Well, congratulations. Average means you guys are average. Like, nobody wants to be average though, but the definition of average is the average. So in our space, more of you are average than are not average. So if you think doing what everybody else does makes you above average, no, that means our standard's high. If you want to be above average in our program, you better do more than our standard, which in my opinion is above average to the country. But to this organization, it takes a lot to be above average. So we talk about that a lot, being above average. Like, it's very difficult to be in the top 2% of a high organization or a high, threshold of what work looks like. And usually it's in the details, not the amount of time you spend. It's usually in the focus you're at when you're doing the actual opportunity.
Kenny, we saw that the Big 12 coaches were all in favor of a 2014 playoff. What are kind of your overarching thoughts on that? And is it maybe worth losing a conference championship game if it comes to that?
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of layers that go into the 2014 playoff. You get more teams in it. The regular season, I don't know if it hurts the regular season. I don't know if it doesn't hurt the regular season. I don't know if it makes the regular season more valuable at the end, because now more teams could get in it. So when you say it could hurt it, well, it may hurt the middle or the beginning, because if you lose a game, people may not care as much. But what about the end, when you would have been eliminated? Are you now in after you lose a game or two, I have to go undefeated the rest of the way, our team's back involved? So people way smarter than me know the math behind does it hurt, does it help? I know I love tournaments, I love competing, I love those environments, so I just want to get in a scenario to where we can just compete at the highest level as many times as we can versus the best teams in the country. So that's what I like about it, is the competition piece.
How do community events today get you and the team excited for football?
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, we're a university that we serve the community. Like, that's our mission from the president down, is we serve our community. So I think when we're out here serving our community, and then our guys get to see football is fun. I talk about it a lot, but NIL, changing the landscapes, all that stuff other coaches can complain about, I really don't. I may say crazy comments, but I don't, because at the end of the day, football is fun. These kids, these players, young men, whatever you want to call our guys, 18 to 22, 23, they're playing college football. They laid in their bed when they were these kids' age and said, man, how cool would that be if I could play college football? They didn't talk about money. They didn't talk about any of that. Now they get to make money and play college football. So I think these moments are moments for them to reflect on, man, look how lucky I am, when in so much in today's society of Twitter and social media is look what they have, look what he has, look what she has, look what other people have, and you almost live in envy of what other people have. You forget what you got. And I think these moments, they really get to remember, man, I'm living out a dream right now. And it's better than the dream I could have imagined, because college sports has changed for the better, specifically towards players, in the last few years. They're living out a better dream than they could have ever imagined. And now all these kids are looking up to them. So I think it really just a way for them to reflect on how lucky they are to be where we're at. Same thing with the coaches.
And what coach do you think you should talk to them about what they could make in college? How old do you think you should start talking to them about?
Players, the kids. old. I think Michael Beasley has a really good podcast out. He was on a show. I can't remember the podcast exactly, but he had a really good podcast just about the nature of youth sports and some of those things. And I think it was a really good reality check. So I don't know the age of what that looks like, but I know this: kids are going to be motivated by fun, by falling in love with something and enjoying it. So the longer you can keep something about the enjoyment and the fun, it's not a job. At the end of the day, when something becomes a job, the word naturally is not fun. Human nature, job, does not correlate with fun. To the point where people say, if you ever have a job, the goal is to never have a job, right? To do something you love. As people saying that's the goal of everybody in life, right? The whole goal is to never have a job. So when we start saying that word job at a young age and people incorporate it, yeah, they make money, but how do we make it not a job? How do we still make it something that these kids are passionate about? Because what they learn in sports goes far beyond this 4 to 5 year window in life. And so my goal with all this stuff is get these guys as much money as they can make, whatever these smart people determine that is. I'm all about that. And then how do we make it not a job though? Let's keep the main thing. They're 18 to 22 kids in development. People will say, well, they can go to the military at that age. They're not kids. They're not this. They're not that. Yes, they are. They're still kids. Science proves it. They're still developing. Let's protect the ones that we can develop. Let's develop them into CEOs and really high-ranking people. Let's develop them to when they graduate, they have money in their pocket, they can start businesses, pour back into the economy. Let's double down and not shy away from the landscape. Let's embrace it. And let's help these kids be more successful when they leave than they did, 5-10 years ago.
Coach, you talk about the base and everything like that, but to see when you talked about activating the Valley and reinvigorating the fan base, when you see the energy that baseball and softball, the postseasons they had, and even, kids qualifying for nationals in track and field, is that how you truly envision it? Because you just reinvigorate football, just the whole ASU fan base.
Every activating the Valley, different time of year, you have to have different ways to keep the fan base engaged, right? You have to have 12 months out of the year, 11, 10 months out of the year. Everybody leaves in the summer anyways, right? But 12-ish months out of the year, you have to have something that's man, people are excited for it. So in spring, from football, we can do football, and people can come out on Saturdays and read all the reports, right, and listen to the interviews, okay? Well, when it's not that part of the year, what is engaging the community? Softball did that at one of the highest levels. I joke, we have a little staff group chat, and Megan won the tournament, and I made a little AI thing of her with a crown, like the Queen of Arizona State, Megan over here, right? Because it was huge for the organization. We're being talked about that time of year, and that matters. When you see Willie and the games that they played, we're being talked about this time of year. Our brand is out there. They just released the NCAA football cover. I don't know if it's official or not, but I saw it on Twitter, okay? So I'm going to comment on it, right? And Sparky's in it. Holy cow. That's back-to-back years of Arizona State University being on the cover of the video game in some way, shape, or form. Back-to-back years, the relevancy is growing. If somebody would have told me that 4 years ago, I would have pinched myself, right? So we're getting there. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a constant battle, but we are growing and we are activating in the Valley and better and better and better, but we're not even 20% to what we can really do here. We're really not. We sell out tickets now. We have a great environment, all that stuff. That's minimum standard of success. That's me telling our kid he needs to be 5 minutes early. If you can't be 5 minutes early, you have no chance to be successful. We can't sell out a stadium in college football. We got no chance to be successful. That's the entry level of success. Now it's how many businesses and people who show up to those games who can get more involved. That's that next 80%. We're 20% of the way there. And it's the hardest 20% to get is that initial buy-in of fan base. We have it now. Can we continue that? Can we grow, right, that last 80%? Because we live in Phoenix metropolitan area. There should be no reason we should be behind in some of the areas we are.
Yeah, it was good.
Scouting reports will probably run around by me all day.